There are a few different ways to install WordPress onto your server. While I will always prefer the easiest way for most anything, I would also like to know how things work just in case something requires fixing. I can then fix it myself or have someone else fix it, but at least at that point I'll know what they should be doing to fix the problems, and this minimizes me getting ripped off by somebody overcharging me for work that was not needed in the first place. Now, if you head on over to WordPress.org, that's where we are right now, and download the latest version of WordPress in order to install it yourself, they have what's called the famous 5-minute install. Let me show you where that's at. Just click on right here, and at the time of this recording, version 3.5.1 is the newest version, and that's going to be changing here in a few weeks, but the installation process will still be the same for the most part. The handy guide right here, this link will take you to this page for installing WordPress. And there's a whole lot of cool details on here you might want to check out when you get a chance to that I'm not going to be covering in this video. But right here is the famous 5-minute installation guide I was referring to. Now, this covers some things that, frankly, I'm going to go against the grain on in this video, because the way I'm going to be showing you will install it a little bit more securely, but their way will work. But then you have to go back in later on and do some tweaking to get it to where I'm going to be showing you. So avoid a couple of steps, save some time, and do it this way. Now, at this point, I'm also going to mention that uploading the files, there's a little over 1,000 files in this zip file here for the new installation of WordPress, and that will take, on my internet speed, it'll take a little over 8 minutes, about 9 minutes to do. So I'm not going to include the uploading of the files in the 5-minute time limit that I'm putting on myself here, because that basically depends only on your internet access. If you've got DSL, or if you've got dial-up, or if you've got, like my neighbors in Kansas City have Google Fiber, then your upload speeds will vary accordingly. So again, I'm not going to include that in my 5-minute time limit. The one thing I do want to mention, though, as far as uploading, I'm using FileZilla, and I've logged into my FTP using a secure connection. That's SFTP. And that's just an added layer of security. It's by all means not necessary or mandatory, but it's just an added layer of security to be able to log in using SFTP versus the normal FTP. What we were going to do is, whenever you download that file from WordPress.org, it's going to come in the form of a zip file. When you unzip it, inside of it's going to be a folder called WordPress. You want to uploading the contents of that folder, not the folder itself, to your server where you want those files to be located at. For example, if you want your WordPress site to be brought up on the browser whenever you type in just your domain, then you want to put it in the root directory, in this case public_HTML. If you want it to be like you put in your domain name /blog, then you want to create a directory called blog and then upload all these files into that directory. Pretty simple stuff. The only thing that I'm not going to be showing you here is the time involved in uploading all these files, because you see here it's a little over 1,000 files. So anyway, uploading it, not that difficult to do. Let's get FileZilla out of the way here. Okay, so now I want to go over to our cPanel control panel to create our database. But first I want to pull in our little timer here so we know that we're going to accomplish this in under 5 minutes. Go ahead and start that up. Come on down here to our databases panel, and you can either use the MySQL database wizard, which we're not, or just go into the MySQL databases, which we are, and we want to put in here the name of our database, and you can have whatever you want in there. For the most part, it'll tell you if you mess something up, but I also create my usernames using the same name as my database. It's not mandatory, it's just what I do. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the database name here, and I'm also going to paste it here because I'm going to use the same ending of my name, because all this is the actual name, all this is the actual username. I'm going to use that same ending for our username. So let's come on back here, come on down here, paste that, or not paste it, but put that in there like so. Use the password generator, and usually I'll use that one. You can also click here to regenerate a new one, but you need to check that box there saying that you've copied that into your clipboard, use that password, create that user, get that out of the way, click that again, And there we go. Now I want to copy this, but I don't want the period at the end there. That always throws me. Copy that for my password. Paste that there and go back. Now that we've got the username and the database name created, we now need to associate the two together. Make sure that they are both showing here, both the user and the database. Click on Add. Click on All Privileges, make changes, and we're set. Our database is ready to roll. Now then, at this point, we're done with this guy here, but I wanted to show you, if we come on back here, and if we go into File Manager, which I believe I already have opened up here, if we come on down here to the config sample, it's at this point that I tend to differ with what's explained in the WordPress installation guide, because here they want you to change the name of this to just config. They want you to delete the dash in the sample, and inside of here they want you to, let me open that up in an editor, they want you to actually go through and create these keys here, but there's an easier way to do that where you don't actually have to create those keys. They're done for you. Let's go ahead and close this out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we're just going to leave that alone. And we come on into our index here, and let's just refresh that. And right here it's going to create the configuration file for us. It's going to create that config file for us with all those security keys intact. We don't have to mess with that. I mean, you could always go back in and change those if you want, but why do it? Let's save time. Create config file. Now then, we want to make sure we got all this stuff, which we do right here. Go ahead and let's go. Let's go ahead and copy this here. That's the DB name and the username. Copy, paste, paste. And you see how I'm pasting both the beginning and no period. Okay, just want to make sure you were aware of that. And the password, make sure we get all that, but not the period that was at the end there in cPanel. And paste. And unless your host is something other than localhost, leave it alone. Now here is another security measure that they don't really tell you a whole lot about. I'm going to change the database or the table prefix to something else because hackers know that it's most always going to be WP underscore. Let's change it here to DTWTO. Yeah, that'll work. Underscore. Click on Submit. Run the install, and we're almost home free. Site title. And admin, we want to change that to something else. Password, let's go ahead and throw something in here. There, how about that? Copy, and it tells you, actually, let's just leave that blank. Let me just show you because it'll make it for us. Your email, you got to put that in there. And then install WordPress. See, it made the password for us, nice and secure. Copy that down, log in. I'm running close here on our paste, and there. So technically we were right at 5 minutes. Had I not been yammering around, it would have been much less than that. That's how you can create your WordPress site manually and do so, in this example, right at 5 minutes. But in most cases, if you're not having to talk, you can do so in less than 5 minutes. Let me go ahead and show you what the site looks like real quick. And click on that. And here we are, my blog. And you can always change this stuff inside of the back end here. But our site's created. That's it. That's how you can manually create your WordPress site in under 5 minutes, or as in this example, right at 5 minutes. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. There are a few different programs that are what I call one-click installers. The old guy in this group is called Fantastico Deluxe, and you'll get these in your cPanel control panel. I've already logged into this one here at HostMonster, and I prefer using basically anything other than Fantastico Deluxe, but not every hosting company offers anything other than Fantastico Deluxe. Now, all the one-click installer programs provide you with the same end results, and that is a fully functional WordPress site. The one I'm going to be demonstrating here will also provide you with a couple of added security options at the installation level that you would otherwise have to dig into the code or install plugins to achieve. Now, the one thing here that I want to mention is that another one-click installer program, in addition to Fantastical Deluxe, that's offered here at HostMonster, is called Simple Scripts. I like these guys even less than Fantastical Deluxe, so let's just get out of here altogether. In this particular hosting company, they provide one that I am going to be demonstrating with here that I simply love, and they're called Softaculous. Now, when you log into your cPanel control panel and go to the Software Services panel, if you do not see Softaculous, then go ahead and contact your hosting company if you want to and see if they'll install it for you. I mean, it's very inexpensive. As a matter of fact, I had this one installed here for this dedicated server for $2 a month. Now, if you go to the Softaculous website, you'll see that they charge even less. I think they will even charge like $70 or something like that for a lifetime license. So, you know, if you're planning to stick around with your hosting company for any length of time, that brings it to even less. What I want to do, though, is go ahead and log into here. But before we do that, I want to bring in a notepad and note these 3 items we're going to record in this particular one-click install process. And I want to bring in our little handy-dandy timer here so we can show we're going to do this in under 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and click on that to get the timer started. Click on Softaculous to open that up. And we want to click on WordPress here to get things started. Click on Install. Now, I want to get rid of this right here because right off the bat, by default, they assume that you're wanting to install your WordPress site in a directory or subdirectory called WP. You can put whatever you want in here so long as it does not exist already, but I prefer, at least ways in this demo, to install WordPress on the main domain. You also have the ability to change the database name right here, but by default, it looks pretty good to me. Here's the kicker. This is what separates this guy from the rest of the one-click installers, in my opinion anyway, and that is the ability to rename the table prefix right here. By default, it's WP underscore in most any other installation process, and the hackers know this. So let's make them work for it. If they're going to try to break into our site by using some kind of an SQL injector or something, well, they're not going to get there by using WP underscore. Name it whatever you want. Make sure it ends with an underscore, though, and you're good. So I want to go ahead and copy this and paste this on my record right here. Then we come on down here, the site settings, the name and description. You can name this whatever you want. You can also change this later after the WordPress installation is done. You can log into the back end of your WordPress site and make all kinds of adjustments there, these two being a couple of them. Now the admin account. Here you want to change the administrator username from the default admin to something other than admin. Make it something easy for you to remember, hard for somebody else to guess. But just make sure it's not admin. Now the password here, it should be, and this is just my opinion, it should be no less than 8 characters and somewhere right around 12 characters or more. But you should also mix things up. Use upper and lowercase letters, throw in some numbers, and at least a couple of the special characters that you'll find by holding down the Shift key on your keyboard and hitting any of the numbers up top there, like the percentage sign, the ampersand, the asterisk. Try not to have any dictionary type words because there is a program out there that some of these hackers will use that will just go through all the words in the dictionary until they come across yours. So make it hard for them to guess. So let's throw in a few letters, a few numbers, a couple of uppercase letters, and some special characters. There. If they can guess that, they can have whatever I've got in my site. Let's go ahead and copy this, paste this here, and we're solid. We're good to go. Now, the administrator email, make sure this is an email that you actually have access to and that you will receive emails at. Change the language if you want. You've got some advanced options here if you want to check into those. But that's just not that much, so I'm not going to mess with that. Click on Install, and that's it. I mean, it says 3 to 4 minutes, but usually it's just a few seconds. And boom, we have a new site. Go ahead and check this out here. Check this out if you want to log into the back end and apply your copied username and password to log in. Let's check out our site. Pretty plain Jane, but we're ready to roll. That is how you can make a more secure WordPress install using the one-click installer called Softaculous. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. One way to help keep your WordPress site secure is to only use secure file transfer when transferring files to and from your WordPress site. Now, if you are manually installing your WordPress site using an FTP client, kind of like FileZilla, like what I'm going to be demonstrating with here, then only use SFTP. That's S as in secure, FTP. Now, if you are, for example, prompted within your WordPress site to supply your FTP credentials in order to update plugins and or the WordPress files, then instead of doing it that way, go ahead and use your outside FTP client like FileZilla and only use the SFTP option. Now in this demo, I'm going to show you just how easy and fast it is to set up the free FileZilla FTP client software for secure file transfer. Now I've already downloaded, installed, and opened up my FileZilla program. Come on up here to File. Oh wait, before we do that, let me bring in my handy dandy little timer here. Show you just how fast it is of that easy and fast part I was talking about. Come on up here to File, go to Site Manager. I'm going to go to New Site. And you don't really have to do it this way, but I'm going to keep things permanent in here, at least for this demo. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a name. And you can name it whatever you want. And over here, put in your host name. Now, if you were given a host name like ftp.mydomainname.com or whatever, or www, then you do not want to put in any prefix. You want to leave off the ftp dot or the www dot and only put in the domain part .com or .net or whatever your host was. And this is information you get, by the way, from your web hosting service when you first purchase your hosting account. Now under port, this is where it got a little hairy for me. I put in port 22. That's what you're supposed to do with secure transfer or for the SFTP. But that did not work for me, so I contacted my hosting company, which is what you want to do if it doesn't work for you. And they told me, well, for me, I need a different number, 7978. Now here under protocol, hit that drop down, go to SFTP, and the rest of the stuff here is just like you would normally log in to your normal FTP account. Under login type, I'm going to go with normal, and under user and password, just put in the username and password that was given to you by your hosting account. And that's what I'm going to do now, copying and pasting. Now, whenever you're copying and pasting like I do, then you want to make sure that you're not adding any additional white marks or blank spaces to the beginning or to the end of that password or username. And you can just put whatever comments you want in there and click on Connect. And you'll know that you're connected securely by down here in the lower right corner, you'll see a little padlock there. And that is how quick and easy it is to set up your secure file transfer or SFTP using the free FileZilla FTP client. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. This video will help secure your WordPress site by moving your config file away from its normal location where the bad people would look to mess with it. You see, your wp-config.php file contains some important settings that, if it falls into the wrong hands, can destroy your WordPress site. Now, since this involves a key file in the workings of your WordPress site, you need to first do a full backup of both your files and database just to be on the safe side. Now, as a second precaution, you might want to keep your server's control panel like cPanel or Plesk or whatever, or your FTP client open when testing your site after this adjustment, just in case, so if something goes wrong, you can put that file back in its original place. Okay, now that the public safety announcement is over, let's do this. Now, first off, I want to demonstrate that the site is working and that I have nothing up my sleeves. Now here's the WordPress site that we're going to be making that adjustment on, and here is just a quick demonstration that the pages are working and that hopefully they will also work after we're done. Okay, now then, let's go ahead and bring the timer in here and get that going. Now I want to open up my FTP client, and again you can do the same thing I'm going to be showing you here in your cPanel, Control Panel, Plus, or whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I'm going to log in securely so we can maintain that air of security. Now then, I'm going to navigate to the root directory of our WordPress installation. That's in the public_HTML file, at least ways for me. Oh, and by the by, this only works if you're not using a multiple site or the multi-site setup for your WordPress. So long as you have this in a single site setup and it's not in a subdomain, I know I should have mentioned that earlier, huh? So long as it's not in a subdomain and that it's not a multi-site setup, then you're good to go. Okay, now that I'm in the root directory, let's go ahead and go on down and find our wp-config.php file. That's right here. I'm just going to left click, hold, and let me move this up here first so that I can show you that this is our path right here to the public_HTML, and I'm going to put the wp-config file above, in this order, I'm going to put it above the public_HTML. So I'm going to put it in the same folder or directory that the public_HTML is in. I'm going to do that by just left click, holding, and dragging this on up and dropping it right in there. Now you see, it's no longer here. It is in fact, if I click on this, and you can see that this is where the public_HTML is now that we used to have to get into to get to the config file. Well, if we scroll on down further, that's where the config file is. Now let's go ahead and check out our site just to make sure it's not broken. And refresh. Yay. Check out a page or two. Yay. And we're still in business. Now, when the bad guys try to find our config file by going to where it's normally located, they're not going to find it, and they're going to get discouraged and go on to the next person's site that is not as secure as this one. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on how you can lock down your WordPress site in less than 5 minutes. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. This video will show you how to help secure your WordPress site in less than 5 minutes by making it even harder for the hackers to break into your site. If your administrative login username is admin, then you are giving the hackers half their job when they try to break into your site. So we're going to get rid of that, and this will discourage most hackers, and they'll just simply move on to someone else's site that's not as safe as yours. And here's how we're going to do it. First off, we want to log into our administrative area, and we do that by putting the URL up here and then /wp-admin. And if you've logged in recently, then your browser might have saved that username and password. If not, then you'll get a little box up there that pops up where you have to put in your username and password. I'm going to go ahead and move my timer in here so I can show you this is going to be done in less than 5 minutes. All right, ready? Come on over here to users. And basically, we're going to add another administrative account. We'll put in the username, email, of course, one you're going to be receiving the emails at, so it has to be a good email, first name, last name, and a very strong password. And it gives you the little strength indicator here and some hints on how you can create a real strong password. Then down here, we want to go to administrator. Okay, so let me go ahead and fill in the blanks here. And again, make sure we've got the role set as administrator. Now then, we want to log out and then log back in as that new person. Now then, we want to come on back to users, go to all users, and you can see the one that we're logged into right now, there's no delete function. But under the other admin, the original one, there is. Simply click on delete. Delete all posts or attribute to the new guy, however you want to do that. Click on confirm deletion. And now then, the old unsecure admin is no longer in existence. Take that, bad guys. And that is how you can help secure your WordPress site by getting rid of the admin as your username in your administrative login details. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. You have all the security features in place for your WordPress site, but if they are all on an infected server in your web hosting account, then your site can still get infected. Now, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here, because this is the worst case scenario and may never happen, but you should plan for the worst and hope for the best. Now, with this in mind, it's best to plan on moving your sites to a VPS, that stands for Virtual Private Server, or a dedicated server as soon as your budget allows for it, as soon as you can afford it. Now, as far as starting out and using a shared hosting plan, like most of us do that are on a budget, there's a couple of questions you should ask the hosting company before you purchase an account from them. Number one, how often do you run malware scans on your servers? Not individual accounts, but on the servers that those accounts reside. And number two, do you do backups of your account? And if so, how often? And is it free? And if not, how much is this extra going to cost me? Now, there are plenty of other questions to ask in general, just like, say, how many domains can I have on my account? How many email accounts can I have? What's the bandwidth limitations, and so on. But most of these are actually spelled out on the hosting company's websites. So if you're wanting to save a ton of time and research, then you can contact a guy named Jim at tvcnet.com. Let me just show you here. That's tvcnet.com, and then it'll just redirect you to this site here. And you can use the phone number if you've got questions, and they've got a complete list here of all the different types of services that they offer, and the prices are very reasonable. The main kicker here is you've got the daily malware scan, and they also provide the backups. So definitely include tvcnet.com in your list of researching websites for your future hosting account. Now, once you've got your hosting setup taken care of and everything's all safe and secure, if you want to find out now what Google thinks of your site as far as it being infected or not, then here is a URL for you to check into. Let me just bring this over here. And you can just replace this www.example.com with your URL, like, for example, this right here, and I'll show you an example of what it's going to look like. I think that'll work. I don't think I need the www in front of mine. Let me just copy this and paste this in the address bar here. And this is the results of what you should get if your page is clean. What is the current listing status for your domain? And it'll tell you here if your site is listed as suspicious or not, and hopefully it's not suspicious, and so on. And there's a host of other goodies over at the Webmaster Tools that you can rely on to keep your site safe, secure, and indexed too. But that's a story for a different video. Now, if you already have a hosting company and do not want to move, then you might want to consider some type of site monitoring service. And you can set one up like what I'm about to show you, and it's free. Or there are free services and there are paid services that'll monitor your website on a constant basis. Now, both paid and free have their pros and cons, and you can do a search for website monitoring service and come up with a little over 150 million results. So there's no shortages of options to choose from here. But let's go ahead and look at a way that you can do this for free, and it's going to take less than 5 minutes to set up. And this is called Google Alerts for Malware. So what you want to first figure out is a list of all the keywords that you want Google to alert you about if they happen to pop up on your site. For example, if your WordPress site has nothing to do whatsoever with pharmaceuticals, and you want to be alerted the first time that something ends up on your site having to do with Cialis or Viagra or porn or any other type of keyword that you know you didn't have anything to do with putting on your site, and it shows up there, if you want to be alerted to that, here's how you do it. Let me go ahead and pull in my handy dandy little timer here, set it 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and start this off. Now we want to head over to Google Alerts, and I believe it's google.com alerts /alerts. I believe. Yes, it is. And here's the search query that we want to put in there. You want to put in site:yourdomain.com or whatever your domain is, and then you want to put in a space and then the keywords that you want to search for. Let me just show you that on this text document here. Right here. This is what you want to put in. Site:yourdomain. Replace this with your actual domain if it's .info, .com, .org, whatever. Space, then the keyword you want to search for, and then a space, then the word or, space, another keyword. So for example, Cialis, space, or, space, Viagra, space, or, space, whatever else you want to put in there that you want to be alerted about. And then once you do that, let's get this out of the way here, then you want to result type. I'd say everything. And you can always come back and adjust this later if you're just getting too much information. Hopefully you won't get any information. That's the goal here. How often? I'd say at least once a day. And because remember, this is free, so why not? How many? Only the best results? I'd say all results. And then your email address that you want the alerts to be sent to. Then click on Create Alert, and you're good to go. Now, if you have several alerts in here, because maybe you're fluent with Google Alerts, then you can go here to Manage Your Alerts to go in and edit any alerts that you have set up, or to see if you need to make any adjustments on any of those current alerts you've got already created. And there you go. You see, you're able to do this site monitoring for free in under 5 minutes. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on site monitoring and web hosting the secure way. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. This video is about using only strong, unguessable passwords to help secure your admin area of your WordPress site. It takes way less than 5 minutes to generate a strong, unguessable password. Here, watch. Let me go ahead and bring in my handy-dandy text document here. This doesn't even require a timer. A couple of letters, a couple of capital letters, a few numbers, some special characters, and a minimum of 8 to 12 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we are good as gold. We've got 13 characters using both upper and lowercase letters, some numbers and some special characters in there, and you put this into any password strength indicator and it's going to rank perfectly. So way under 5 minutes. And it's not that difficult, but remembering that password might be the tricky part. And if you have several or more WordPress sites, it gets even trickier. Now this is where password managers are a lifesaver. Two very good password managers are called LastPass and RoboForm. Both have paid and free options, and there are plenty of guides on the web to set either one up for you to use in just minutes. So there's zero excuses in not being able to both generate and manage all of your strong and unguessable passwords. For example, if we were just to do a search here for how to use LastPass, you're going to have a little over 1 million choices. And if you wanted to narrow that down, because maybe you're more visual like me and you want only videos, you're still going to have an abundance of options. Same thing here, how to use RoboForm. Again, plenty of options, and these are just the videos. So now there, again, is no excuse whatsoever why you should be using your password or no password or password as your strong, unguessable password. So whether you opt for the free or the paid version of either LastPass or RoboForm, do it and use it. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on generating strong and unguessable passwords in less than 5 minutes. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. One way to help in securing your WordPress site is to make it as difficult as possible for the bad people to break in. Duh. One way to do this is to avoid using the default database prefix WP underscore. Now, if you have not yet installed WordPress and you have access to the one-click install program called Softaculous, then you can make this change before you even install WordPress. You can also change the database prefix manually after you have WordPress installed. The manual way is best done on a new install, but you can still do it on a seasoned site just as easy. If, however, you're not one to get your hands dirty, then there are plugins that you can install on your already installed WordPress site that can do all the heavy lifting for you. These plugins might be a little bit iffy, and they come with a little bit of a learning curve. I myself prefer the easiest way possible, but in case something breaks along the way, I'd also like to have some idea where to look in order to fix it. So this video is going to show you how to manually edit your database prefix in less than 5 minutes. However you decide to alter your database prefix, you want to have a fresh, full backup of both your files and database before doing this. Now that you have your new backup created, let's go ahead and log into our server's control panel. And in this demo, I'm going to be using the control panel cPanel. Oh wait, before we do that, I want to show you that this site does work and that hopefully it'll do the same thing once we're done editing our database prefix. So let's come on over to cPanel, and we want to come on down here to our phpMyAdmin, and we want to, if you've got multiple databases, then you want to make sure you're editing the right one. Now, one way to make sure you've got the right database is to come on back here to File Manager on your control panel, click on File Manager, come on down to the wp-config.php file, select that, click on Code Editor, and then Edit, and then right here is the name that we're going to be editing. So that would be the 248, that's going to be this guy right here. Now I also want to mention that I'm going to go ahead and leave this guy open because once we change the name of our prefix on our database, we have to come back to our config file and change it here as well. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave this guy open. Come on back here. Oh, and before we get things started, let me bring in my timer here just to show you it is going to be done in less than 5 minutes. Matter of fact, spoiler alert, I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can do this. So let's go ahead and click on this. Wait, let's start the timer first, make it official. Okay, now let's click on this. Come on in here, and of course a lot of this is going to depend on your internet speed because there is some downloading and uploading involved. But let's come over here to Export and click on Go. Navigate to the location on your computer where you want to download this SQL database to. Okay, that's done. Let's get this out of the way. Open up that directory because we don't really want to work on the one we just downloaded. We want to keep that as a kind of a backup. So let's go ahead and click on Copy and Paste. Actually, I'll keep this guy name copy as the backup, and we'll open this guy up with Notepad or WordPad. Notepad will work just as well, but it looks like gibberish. So let's go ahead and use WordPad because there's some formatting involved here. Come on up here to Home, go to Replace, and find what we want to find the WP underscore, and we want to replace it with our new one, which is, let's give it a name, GOTU underscore, and replace all. Now, if you've got a whole lot of funky plugins installed and activated and it's a real seasoned site, you may want to go ahead and replace one at a time because some plugins will use WP underscore a couple of times in the path of that plugin, and you only want to change the first instance within that path, not all of them. So when you click on replace all, anything in here that has WP underscore, it's going to change. So you may want to do this one at a time if you've got a seasoned site. If it's a brand new site with minimal plugins, boom, do that. And we're done. Okay, now then let's go ahead and cancel this. Let's go ahead and make sure, let's go through here. Yeah, okay, so we got that one changed. So we've got that one changed, we got them all changed. Click on Save, so we're good. Click out of here. We know that guy is still okay and intact, so let's go ahead and upload this back into our database. Get this out of the way. Come on back up here. And let's go ahead and select all of these guys here. Let's clean out our database right now because these are all still the WP underscores. And with all those selected, we want to drop them. Get them out of here. Click on Yes. And they're gone. Now we want to come up here to Import. Choose File. That's the guy right there. Come on down here, click on Go. And we're good. Click on Refresh just to make sure. Come on back here to our wp-config file. Change that to GOTU underscore. Come up here and click on Save. And that should be good. And come over here to our blog and refresh. And if it's not broke, then it's going to work. Cool. And we've got, what, 3 minutes? Okay, so we're good to go. Now, another way to do this, since I've got a little bit of time left, if you come on back over here, come on back up here, we can select all of these files, or tables rather. Come over here to With Selected, Replace Table Prefix. Click on that. And right here, go from GOTU underscore to WP underscore, or whatever you want, WPT underscore. Click on Submit. And there you are. Refresh. Come on back here. What is that? WPT underscore. Click on Save. Come on back here. Refresh. And it's still working. So that's 2 ways for the price of 1. In both ways were done in under 5 minutes. And how you can change your database prefix from the WP underscore to whatever you want. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on editing your database prefix in under 5 minutes. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. I heard someone once describe a WordPress hacker like that of a low-level burglar that would go into an apartment building and walk up and down the halls and just turn the doorknob of every single door they walked past. If the door opened, they walked in. If it was locked, well, they moved on to the next one. They would not just stand there and break down the door or pick the lock. If the basic precaution of locking the door was not done, then they took advantage of it and walked on in and burgled. Same with the majority of the WordPress hackers. If you just take care of at least the basic level of securing your site, then you'll be much better off than those that do not. This video will walk you through some of those basics that everyone should do in securing their site, and we're going to do it in under 5 minutes. Now, first off, we're going to go through and just do some basic house cleaning, because we do not want the average hacker to come by and see that this is a new install by seeing on the main page the Hello World, which is the default post that comes with every single fresh install. Because if they see this, they might go into thinking that there are certain vulnerabilities that you have not yet taken care of. So we want to first go through and get rid of the default post, the default page, and anything else in there that might need to be basically cleaned up. So let's go ahead and log into the dashboard area, and I've already done that here. You can do that by putting your URL /wp-admin or wp-login.php. And if you have not logged in recently, then you get a little pop-up box here that requires you to put your username and password in there, and then you'll end up on this page here. Now right down here, by the way, you can see that we are on version 3.5.1. That'll come in handy here in a second, so just kind of make a mental note of that. So first off, we want to go into Post and Pages. Wait a minute, before we do that, let's bring in my timer here so I know that this is going to be done in less than 5 minutes. There we go. Let's go ahead and click this guy, get him started. And by the way, a little hint, if you go into Users and click on Add New and create a new administrator account, then delete the default admin username administrator account, then that will automatically delete all of the associated posts and pages that were assigned to that original admin. That is, of course, if you don't reassociate them with the new one. That said, let's go on into Post, go to All Posts, and really you shouldn't have admin as your username anyway. That's a major no-no. And let's go ahead and get rid of the Hello World, trash that one. Come on into Pages, get rid of the sample page, that's the default guy there, trash that one. And while we're in the cleanup mode, we want to, oh yeah, and if you're in an older version of WordPress and you've got the old blog roll thing that was defaulted installed on your site, go ahead and get rid of all those links in there too. I never liked them anyway, but some people do. If you don't, then I'd say get rid of them. Come on into plugins and the themes and make sure that you've got all your most recent updates done. And you do that by coming up here to the dashboard, going to updates. This will show you all of them, not just the plugins. So if you got themes that need updated, you can take care of that too. Let's go and get rid of this guy here, get him fully updated. That's also where you can see the updates for the core of WordPress as well. That would be right here. But you can see here where you've got the most recent going right now. Now then, that said, if we do not have the most recent, then you want to make sure that you're not telling the world what version of WordPress you're using, because you have certain updates of WordPress to plug certain security holes. And if a hacker sees that you're using 2.9 or 3.2 and they know of a potential security measure there that they can take advantage of, then they're going to. So you want to make sure that if you're not using the most recent version, which you should be, but maybe you got a client that swears by version 3.2 or whatever, you want to hide that version from being shown to the world. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If we right click, go to View Page Source, I'm going to Control F to do a find. Let me get this guy out of the way here. And I'm going to find 3.5.1. And we see we've got 4 instances of that right here. So we want to get rid of these 4 instances right now. And we do that by logging into our cPanel control panel. You can do the same thing by going to an FTP client. Go to File Manager. Oh, and by the way, while I'm in File Manager, there's a couple of files in here we can get rid of too. The README, this is the root directory of our WordPress install. Select the README and the config-sample. Delete those. Hang with me, I'll get back on track in a second. Go into the WP-admin, and let's get rid of the install files here. That's the helper and the install PHP file. Select those two, delete those. Now then, let's get on back to our functions. That's in the, yeah, we want to go to the themes. WP-content, themes, open that up, and I'm in the 2012 theme right now. We want to come on down to the functions.php, select that, go to code editor, edit that, and we've got 2 bits of code that we want to install here to make those bits of code invisible, or the versions invisible. So we come all the way down to the bottom of the code here, put our cursor right there, and we're going to paste this code in there. You can freeze the video if you want just to copy this stuff down. We want to remove the WP version meta tag and from the RSS feed, and we want to remove the versions from any other stuff that's showing it, like the style.css. Come on up here and save changes. Now we want to come on back here and let's close this guy out here. Refresh that. And then let's take a view of that source page again. And Control F. Get you out of the way there. And see how many we got? 0 for 0. So that's going to clean things up for us, both on the front end, the back end, and in some of the coding in the root directory as well. Now, of course, there's a few other things you might be able to do, but for the basics, this is what we're looking at. And we were able to do all this in under 5 minutes. So now there's no excuse not to lock your door. Thanks for watching this video, and you have a great day. Sometimes securing your WordPress site can be as simple as installing a plugin. But after it's installed, then you're left scratching your head as to what needs to be done with the settings on that plugin. Some of these security plugins can be a total headache if you check the wrong box or click on the wrong button. Your site can easily go up in smoke. So this video will show you how to configure the plugin named Better WP Security, and we're going to do this in less than 5 minutes. So first, let's go ahead and install, then activate the plugin. So we do that by logging into our dashboard area, which I've already done. And if you've not done that, then just go to your URL /wp-admin or wp-login.php. And if you've not logged in a while, then it will prompt you to do so by popping up a little box here asking for your username and password. Then once you've entered that, then you are going to end up on this page here. Then you want to come on over to Plugins, go to Add New. Then we just type in the search box here, Better WP Security. Click on Search Plugins, and that'll take us to the WordPress.org plugin repository, where in most cases it'll be the first one that shows up here. Click on Install Now. Are you sure? Yes. Then click on Activate Plugin. And at this point we can either click on Settings here or Security here. In either case we'll end up in the same spot. But before we do that, I want to bring in our little timer here so we can do everything under the 5-minute mark. So let's go ahead and click on the timer. Go to Security. Now at this point, since you've already done a full backup, hint, hint, of both your files and your database, and you can go ahead and skip this. But if you do click on this, then you're going to get the email sent to this email address here that contains your database backup. Let's go ahead and click on No Thanks. I already have a backup. That'll bring us to this page here where you can allow this plugin to change WordPress core files. I would say yes. And then at this point, secure my site from basic attacks. This would be the easiest and best way and what I will recommend you do. But before we do that, let me just go to No Thanks and show you what it looks like first off. Now we've got these different colors here, red, blue, orange, and green. We really want to shoot for green across the board, but that's not always going to happen. Actually, rarely will it happen. You'll get most of them to be green, but you definitely want to get rid of the red, and you want to try to get these guys to either go to blue or green. Here's a little color code down here to tell you what each one is. So right off the bat, if we go back and click on Secure My Site, basically let the plugin do its job, you'll see right away that a lot of those reds have already been changed. Now then you can go and click on the individual links here to change those reds into green, or at least ways closer to green, being orange or blue. Now the orange ones here, come on down here, they're partially secured, and turn on more options to fully secure these areas. There's a good chance that most all these oranges can be turned into green. The thing I want to point out though is that the blue items, they're not fully secured, but might conflict with other themes, plugins, or other things you got going on your site. So that's where the database backup is going to come in handy. If for some reason you're going to be bold and shoot for green across the board, hey, more power to you. But know this, that if you do break something, you've got an easy fix. Let me show you that real quick here. You want to log into your cPanel control panel. Come on down to the PHP My Admin, and you want to make sure you're getting into the proper database, and at this point you want to check all and go over here to With Selected, click on Drop. That's going to delete all of these guys. And once you do that, then you come on up here to Import, navigate to the location of that database, not the entire file zip, but the database that you downloaded earlier, and then upload that. Click on Go, and then that will replace all of these tables here, one of which will be screwed up because of what you did on the plugin stuff here. Then you just refresh this page and you'll be back to where you were prior to clicking on that link that made things go wonky on you. So that's how you can fix what would have been broken had you been bold and gone for green across the board. But at the very least, you want to get rid of all the reds. For example, if we go here, let's say admin user, put in a different username here, click on change admin user, and done. Click on user or change user ID. You don't want to have the one ID in there. Now if we come on back to the dashboard, oh, okay, that one still exists, but we did get rid of that one. Let's get rid of this one here, because to do that it required us to log back in. Now if we come on back to the dashboard, you can see that one's not green, and that's basically what you want to do. Just go on down here and at least ways get rid of all the reds, and you want to shoot for getting rid of the oranges. But if you only have blue and green left, then you're in good shape. One other thing I want to point out is down here under System Tweaks, which will get rid of a lot of the oranges and the blues. Any of these yellow ones here you want to be wary of because they can mess things up. So I would go one at a time. Click on one, save changes, check your site. If it still works, you're in good shape. And again, if you break something, just come on into your PHP My Admin from your control panel, replace your broken database with your backed up database, and you'll be in good shape. And we did all that under 5 minutes. One of the ways a hacker will attempt to break into your WordPress site is by trying to guess your administration login username and password. Now they'll do this by using a software program that can guess hundreds of possibilities in minutes. And if you're not using strong usernames or unguessable passwords, then your site's about to be hacked. They call this a brute force attack. In some cases, the sheer number of guesses the hacker software is allowed to go through can put such a load on your server's resources that your hosting company might even shut your site down. Now, even though this shutdown might be temporary, your site is still down, and this is not a good thing. In addition to having strong usernames and passwords, you also need to be able to prevent the brute force attack from happening at all. Luckily, it's super simple and can be taken care of with the installation and activation of a free plugin. There are several plugins that will make it difficult to brute force attack your site, but this one is simple and lightweight, meaning it does not suck up tons of your server's resources nor slow your site down. The name of this plugin is Limit Login Attempts. Yep, I think the name says it all. So let's go ahead and log into our dashboard area and install this plugin. Once you're logged in, then you come on over here to the dashboard area, or actually you want to come on down to the plugins area so we can install a new plugin. But before we get things rolling, let me go ahead and pull in my timer here so I can show you just how fast we can do this. Go and get the timer started. Come on over here to plugins, click on Add New, and we're going to install the Limit Login Attempts plugin. Yep, right there. And click on Search Plugins, and it should be the top one that pops up here. Yep, right there. Click on Install Now, click on OK. And once it's installed, we want to activate it. Just click that link there. And once it's activated, come on down here to the Settings panel. Come on down to the new link that's been installed. That's the Limit Login Attempts link. Click on that, and here are the settings. Now then, since I've been playing with this, there's my IP address right there. By default, there's not going to be anything there, and this is not going to show up because, well, there's nothing to reset. But the other items in here are pretty well okay just the way they are. You can adjust them, the number of allowed retries, so if somebody screws up 4 times and tries to do it on a 5th time, they're locked out, and it will show them in a red box right above the login that you've got 19 minutes or 20 minutes before the next login attempt will be working. And if after 4 of these lockouts have happened, they're going to be logged out, or locked out rather, for 24 hours. Frankly, myself, I would change this to like 700 some odd hours. I don't want them back, because if they are a legitimate login or a legitimate user and they just simply screwed up 16 times, I mean, then something's wrong there. They're trying something fishy. So really, in my experience, if they've been unable to log in for 3 or 4 times, they're going to send me an email. Now, if that has not happened, then it just tells me they're probably not a legitimate user. So, yeah, I would definitely bump this up to enough hours to where they're not going to bother me again. And the other thing that I would adjust is right here. I would like to be notified by email if after a certain number of logouts or lockouts have taken place. The email that they're going to send this to is the administration email that's set up in your WordPress install. And obviously with this box ticked here, the IPs of those that have failed to log in are going to show up down here. And that's basically it. Now, if for some odd reason you have, as the administrator, not remembered your password or you screwed something up, let me show you what happens. Let me get this guy out of the way here. Let's go ahead and log out, and then try to log in with something other than what's proper. And try this now. And there, see, you get this box that pops up, and you've got 3 more attempts before it really messes things up. So if you can't remember your administrator login credentials in 4 attempts, well, you probably ought to just give up altogether. But if you want to, you can go into your cPanel or FTP account and just kind of disengage that plugin. Come on down to File Manager, look for that plugin, and just rename it. And that's in the WP-content directory. Open that up. In the plugins directory, open that up. And right here, just rename it. I just put a number or something after the end of it, like 1. Just basically change the name of it. And then come on back here, refresh, continue, and then you just type in the actual username, because you can see that you're not limited by the time factor anymore. But as soon as you activate that plugin again by renaming it back to the way it should be, then the remainder of that amount of time is going to be ticking down. And that's it. That's how you can get back in if you forget your own stuff as an administrator, and that's how you can block out the bad guys and gals from attempting to brute force attack your site using the simple plugin called Limit Login Attempts. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. What should be one of the most important items on your regular to-do list is running full backups of both your files and database of your WordPress sites. This is very important because, heck, even if you're a WordPress security ninja master, if the right person wants to hack your site, they will get in. And when they do, if you have a full backup of your files and database, then you are much better off, because you can then just delete everything and reinstall from your clean, full backups. This video will show you how to fully back up and restore your broken WordPress site, and we're going to do it in under 5 minutes. So let me just demonstrate first off that we have a fully functional WordPress site. Now, granted, there's not a lot to it. It's newly installed, and this does have a lot to do with the amount of time it's going to take. So yeah, the 5-minute ticker is based on a very small site. In other words, if you've got a 5 gigabyte database, then it's going to take longer than 5 minutes. If you've got a slow internet connection, it probably is going to take a little longer than 5 minutes. If you have both a slow internet connection and a 5 gigabyte database, then it's going to take a heck of a lot longer than 5 minutes. So I'm still going to do this video to show you how easy it can be done, and I'm going to do it in less than 5 minutes. So we click on the sample page. Ta-da, it's working. Homepage. Ta-da, it's working. Now, and we want to go into our cPanel control panel. We need to get a zip file of all the contents of our WordPress directory, and we need to get a backup of our database. We'll do that through the phpMyAdmin. But first, I want to pull in my timer here so that we can do this in under 5 minutes. Go ahead and click on that and go. Let's get the database first. We click on phpMyAdmin, and we want to make sure we are backing up the database that pertains to the WordPress site we're going to be backing up. And I know it's this guy here, so we select on that. And it shows all the tables. Go to Export. Go. All this is fine, just the default settings. Navigate to where we want it to be downloaded to. And I would go ahead and put it in a folder that is dated. That way you know that this and the other backup we're about to do is related to one another. And frankly, I'd only keep like 3 of them, the most recent 2, and then the new one. Delete the 4th one, the 4th oldest one, if that makes sense. Okay, so now that we got that backed up, I'm going to leave this open. Come on back to our cPanel. Come on up to the File Manager. And these here are just other folders or other directories, have nothing to do with this WordPress install. This one does, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom here, holding the holding the Shift key on my keyboard down, and then select the bottom file, and that selects everything. Or you could just click on this guy here to select everything, and then come up here and click on Compress. And before I click on Compress Files, I'm going to give it a different name. This time I'm going to name this one Today's Date. Then compress. And again, this is time based on how big your site is. And there it is right there. We want to download this to our directory, ideally in the same location where that database is, so that we know where everything is. And since this is also going to be required to be uploaded to make this full demonstration, no need to waste the time in the downloading and the uploading, because it's going to come back here in a second, because I'm about to break the site here just to demonstrate how to fix it. So let's just pretend that I've downloaded it and that I've also uploaded it. But let's go ahead and come on back to the site. Now that we've got our backup done, we've got this all zipped up and downloaded, and we've got the database all zipped up and downloaded. Now we come on back to the site here. I'm going to go into the dashboard area. Oh wait, no, let's come to the cPanel. That's what I want to do. Go back into the file manager, where I was, and go to the config file. Let's go ahead and open this up. Code editor. I guess I could do this for just about anything, but I'm just going to grab that and delete it. That should do some damage. And then save changes. And then get that out of there. Come on back here. Refresh. And yep, it's definitely broken. Now then, to repair. Let's come on back in here, because we don't know what broke, right? So we want to first upload our clean database. So we come in here and we want to select all these tables. We want to get rid of them. Come on in here and drop them. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes. Now we want to upload and install our clean database. Import. Select the one we just downloaded earlier. That's this guy right here. Come on down here and click on Go. Give it a second. Again, it's time based on how big your database is. And there we are. Okay, database fixed. Come on back in here. Go to File Manager, which is this one right here. And now then, let's again pretend that we've uploaded this guy here. And we want to make sure it's selected. Come up here and extract. And it'll override all these other guys here. Extract. Bing, bang, boom. Done. Now then we can delete this, because everything's fixed, right? Hopefully. Fingers crossed. And come on back to our site here. Refresh. And we're back to normal. And that is how you can back up both files and database, how you can break your site. Hopefully you don't need to do that. And how you can actually restore everything from those original backups. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on backing up and restoring and breaking your WordPress site. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day.